Hello, folks. Hope you're having a great Thursday. When should I practice centering prayer? I get asked that question a lot, so let's talk about that for a minute or two. What I suggest is really you let the ebbs and flows of your life dictate when you will practice centering prayer. So what's right for you won't necessarily be right for someone else. For example, when I first started practicing centering prayer, my first sit was first thing in the morning, and then my second sit often was sometimes right before I went to bed. But then I began shifting. Um, I began trying to move my second sit earlier because I didn't like the late sit. So I kept with a morning sit, the first thing I do before I begin my day, whether it's a work day or the weekend. And then the second sit, I began doing it at work. I'm fortunate enough that I could leave my desk, go to my car, and do my second sit in my car. And that seemed to work best for me. And then there was a period of time where work was really stressful and I needed to make some modifications to my sits. So instead of doing 2 sits, I did 3 sits, but I shortened the time frames for the 3 sits. So instead of doing 2 20-minute sits per day, I did 3, I think it was 13-minute sits. So a couple years ago, work was very stressful. I needed to calm myself down, slow myself down, and get through that hectic period. So I did a 13-minute sit first thing in the morning. Then my next sit would be right before lunch. So it was somewhere around 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And then actually around 3 o'clock, I did another 13-minute sit. And so those last 2 sits were at work. And as I said, I would leave my work desk and head to my car and do it in my car. So what is my point? When should I practice centering prayer? I think you need to look at your life and determine what makes sense for you, what works for you. So for me, right now, a morning sit is the best way for me to start my day. I love it. It just starts me, it refreshes me, it reconnects me to God, reconnects me to life, kind of energizes me, slows me down, and just gets me going. So my first sit is the first thing I do before I do anything. And that includes even taking a shower, for example, and eating breakfast and that kind of stuff. So I do my sit first thing in the morning. And what works for me now is my second sit during the work week is right before lunch. So it can be anywhere from 12 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I do my second sit. And as I mentioned, I do it in my car. On the weekends, I simply do it in my house. So really, that's my point, is take a look at your life. What is your life telling you? When would you most benefit from doing your silent sits? That's when you should do it. And then don't be afraid of readjusting. So as life changes, things in your life change, life gets more hectic, or schedules shift your sits. Take a look at when should you do your sits. What worked once may not work right now, so you may need to shift it. And that's exactly what I did. I shifted a couple times, as I mentioned. I did a morning sit and then a late sit pretty much right before I went to bed. And I realized that late sit was too late. So I moved it up to right before lunch. And then there was a period of time where life was very hectic at work. And I shifted to 3 sits and shortened the sits. And then work got better. And I shifted back to what I'm doing now, is a first thing in the morning sit and then a sit right before lunch. So that's what works for me. So I encourage you to take a look at your life and place your sits where they belong. And at the same time, don't be afraid to shift things up as your life changes. So that's it. Thought I would hop on and talk about that for a few minutes. So thanks for Obi Christie and Richard that have popped on. Thanks for popping on. I see Richard has a comment. Yup. So it sounds like you're in agreement, and maybe you do the same thing with your centering prayer sits. Thanks for popping on, both of you, and thanks for the people that will catch it on the replay. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the Thursday. Take care, everybody.